nonprofits, let's raise more money. For this episode, Trevor had the amazing opportunity to be a guest for the Money Hole podcast with Chris Lamm. For more information about their podcast, click the links in the description. Let's get right into it.
College was not built for, I think, can I say guys like you and me?
You say
frankly,
whatever you want, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it now. I don't feel like it was a waste of time. It was very explorative. Nothing crazy, you know what I mean, or debaucherous. But I was taking, world religion courses and finding out about the world at a time. I mean, I'm dating myself, but this is 1999, 2000. Yeah. You know what I mean? So,
I think it's worse now.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to tolerate it probably now. Yeah. No offense to folks that do, but once again, being an entrepreneur, right? It wasn't built for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No.
It doesn't.
College has its place for a lot of people.
100%. I'm a big believer.
But I was meeting with this young man recently who literally just graduated high school, and he's one of the brightest young men at his age I've ever met. And cool. I won't say his name, but he just graduated high school, and he's been helping me with some business things. Mm-hmm. And you've met those prodigies, those really young 100%. People. You're like, oh my gosh, this kid's going to explode. Mm-hmm. He's so much further beyond his years. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, I said, are you going to go to college? And he went like this. No.
Yeah.
And I was like, good.
Yeah. Right? You're like, we don't want to stunt your growth.
I think high school was holding him back.
Okay.
He's that smart.
I could totally see that.
This kid is.
You'll see that in athletics sometimes too, right?
Yeah.
You just go right to the pros.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
The world. So, I mean, come on, think about how much the world's changed. I mean, exponentially in 20 plus years, you know what I mean? Wild. And the opportunities. I mean, you could, I don't know do you ever call it like what you've done? You're a very prolific investor and very, very savvy business person and a wonderful person. But do you ever think that you invented your own job? Because that's kind of how I feel. Starting my own company, I invented my own job.
Yeah,
I found my niche.
I feel more like I was drifting in a part in my life. Mm-hmm. There's a season of my life where I was drifting. Mm-hmm. Then there was a season where I became really driven.
100%.
And at this stage of my life, I describe it as I feel like I'm being directed.
I love that.
Does that make sense?
You have a lot to give. Too.
Well, yeah. And I just feel, a lot of it's my spirituality. It's, I feel like there's this, I just feel like everything is working together. I heard a guy describe it earlier today. He said, my buddy, Josh Barker, I got to say that for him. I don't want to steal his stuff, but he said that at this stage in his life, it feels like he's putting these puzzle pieces down and he's been putting them down long enough where he's starting to finally see this picture and it's changing his life as he's doing it.
It's harmonious.
Yeah, it's harmonious. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
We built a really, really cool company, my partner and I, and what I tell folks all the time when they're like, wow, I just really like what you guys do, or, oh my gosh, I really love working with this company. I never thought I found my dream job and stuff like that. And I said, well, and my partner, Jason, best friend, I said, well, you're getting our best version. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm proud of that, Yep. It takes a long time. I'm 40 something years old, 43.
Well, hey,
but you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
I didn't expect it in my 20s. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it in my 30s necessarily. I didn't really have anything figured out until mid 30s and, and realizing how much, I guess, life meant to me, right?
Yeah. Well, hey, I would love to hear it again, but I'd love people watching to hear, what is it exactly? I know you got a couple things going on, but if you go walk through, what do you do right now?
So I own HJ Fundraising. We run, so we help nonprofits raise more money. That's what we do, man, and it's
big nonprofits.
Big nonprofits, a lot of very, very large. We're very blessed. I mean, our strength is not only our team, of course, but our clients, right? So we help nonprofits with their event fundraising. But what's interesting, because we talked about the pod and stuff, we've done 116 webinars, weekly webinars. Yeah. So super consistent in that regard. But what we spend most of our time doing is helping nonprofits with things that don't really involve what we actually provide, right? If that makes sense. We just coach them.
Consulting.
100%. Yeah. We coach them. Yeah. We coach them up. And it almost seems like, for lack of a better explanation, it seems like our products and services and what we truly invoice people for is kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when we decided collectively, once again, my partner and I, and then our entire team, we all bleed the same sincerity, right? With the folks that we get to help. We just started giving it away. That's what we say. We just give it away, the information. And we're really great arbiters and vessels for the information because we get to work with, 1,000 fundraising events like banquets and galas and online auctions and all these fundraising ventures that these different nonprofits that we get to work with embark upon. So when we see the hits, we want to share them, right? And that's what we do. And it's been amazing.
Yeah.
I can't even put it into words, bro. It gets me.
We haven't talked for a while, so I don't know exactly like what your belief systems are, but you know, in the Christian world, we have these two mentalities we talk about a lot, which are totally applicable to everybody. It's this abundance mindset,
100%,
versus the poverty mindset.
100%.
You've heard those,
100%.
So what I hear you describing is the abundance mindset. And what I'd love to know is like, did you always have that growing up?
I did, because it's interesting because I'm wildly competitive, and I know you're in a very competitive space, right?
Yeah.
And
it's a little different, but it's the same.
100%.
At the core, it's the same thing.
Yeah. And there's all these different preconceived notions and foundational thoughts and things like that. But a couple things. I absolutely believe in the abundance mindset, absolutely, through and through. I believe it's a very, very big world. Like, I'm convinced of that.
Yeah.
I don't focus on competitors. What I focus on is our clients and our people. I don't want to sound cliche. It's really the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I focus on on being different, frankly, when it comes to competition or other folks. We play well with others. I just want our clients to win. I am a big, big believer in, I want everyone to experience that. You know what I mean? I want everyone to experience what abundance feels like, and joy and happiness, frankly. And that's what I'm on. It feels like the path that I'm on. But yeah, I have always felt that. But I've always been an optimist. Yeah. I'm just optimist. I wake up every day very, very happy. I've been blessed with that. You know,
I've never met you in a weak moment. I'm sure you have them.
I have.
But I've never met you in a moment where you weren't so optimistic.
I really
and positive.
Yeah, man. I really feel like I was given that gift.
Yeah.
I really feel that way.
It is a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're trying to, we're doing our very best to share it, and so talking like this is part of it, I suppose. You know what I mean? Yeah. But.
Yeah. So one of the things we talk about here is we talk about money, and it's part of how that plays into wholeness. Because I think for me and a lot of guys I know, when we think about the word whole, we don't necessarily think about money. It's money gets kind of put aside, or it ends up being, I don't have time for wholeness.
Yep.
Because I'm going after money.
I could see that. I think we all go through that at some point, right? When we're making money. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's sacrifices that have to be made.
100%.
But what we like to talk about here is like people's journey with figuring out what wholeness means to them. Because, you being in the competitive sports world for so many years, from the outside looking in, I would see some of those guys you used to run with. I'd be like, that is a healthy person. But you and I both know that there's always a story behind 100%. The story for anyone in any field.
We're complicated. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So what does that mean for you today? Like, when you think of that word wholeness, I don't know if you think about that word a whole lot, but what does that mean to you today?
When I think of that, I think of a number of things. I mean, I think that you definitely know when you're not whole, right? It's palpable.
Yes.
There's a lot of pieces of the pie, right? And I think it's...
What is it? What are some signs when you're not whole? Like, what does that look like?
Maybe you're not getting along with your spouse. There's, maybe you have a bad relationship, a poor relationship with money. Maybe you're trying to tear down some societal thoughts that might be, that might be tearing you down or bringing you down, or I don't know. I just feel like I almost feel like someone's pushing against your chest, or like the brakes are on, right? But we all want the brakes to be off. We all want to, we all want to run. You know what I mean? We're like racehorses, right? We're built like that, right? But I think identifying that, hey man, I mean, I my life started changing in a really, really good way when I met my wife, and you asked me about God and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up in the church, and I had a really hard dad, and I had a very, very kind, loving mother, and and if I didn't, we wouldn't probably be sitting here right now, right? So what I started doing was, when things started changing for me, and I changed my relationship with money, and started realizing that I wanted to live, for me, an abundant life. And I met my wife, who made me believe that there's a God, right? And we had a baby, and it made me believe that there's angels. I'm surrounded by angels. That's really how I feel. And I'm a soulful person. I really do feel. But I didn't grow up in the church in that traditional sense. So when that started happening, I started writing things down. And I just now started sharing, this is not like an advertisement or anything like that, but I just started sharing, you asked me what wholeness feels like.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's, I started writing down like these actual rules that I live by. And one of them, the first one was be kind to everyone, especially yourself. And what I equate that to is that you cannot give what you do not have.
Yeah.
So if you're not whole, you can't give to the most important people around you. You can't give to your clients. You can't give to teammates. You can't give to your people that work with you, your partner, whoever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that means to me,
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, when I'm out of whack or disconnected, I notice it in my sleep.
100%.
I notice it, like you said, I'm a little more irritable.
For sure.
Which creates tension with my spouse.
Yes.
Because they're who's close. They're the ones that see us at our worst and we're around them the most.
Yep.
My kids.
Yep.
And I just feel less inspired.
100%.
Which for me at this point in my life, man, that feels like I'm dying.
I think it's really important for me, the way I equate it is, there's people that surround me that I absolutely adore, and they make me want to run through walls. They make me feel, like you said, inspired, right? Like if I can surround myself, I've been exceptionally lucky. This conversation is no different. I've been beyond the moon lucky with people I've come, the people that I know, and we know a lot of the same people, and in business and in athletics and brother, I've been over the moon blessed. But I have noticed that there are people that can be huge detractors, like energy vampires or whatever, right? You want to call them, like you want to put a label on them. And there's people that literally make me feel like I could run through a wall.
Yeah.
For them, for myself, for the collective, purpose, all those things. And I think that's really important to identify that, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, it can feel really bad when you don't feel that way,
Yeah, no, you said something that's so key, and we talk a lot about that here is mentoring and and then running with the right people.
Yep.
And it's hard because it's like I remember I grew up in AA to some degree, and I remember they would say things like, hang with the winners. But then they would say, like, don't judge others.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I do both those things.
It's tough.
It is hard social. Because, when you grow up with people, like when you start outrunning them and you're trying to drag people up the mountain with you, whatever mountain that's tough. Like letting go of relationships because they're not healthy for you, man, that is a tough thing to do.
That's a huge learning.
And so many people don't do it.
No. And it really, there's nothing more sad than a waste of talent. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of room for that in this, and of course, when people, pull you down, that's a real drag. We've all had those stories, right? Oh, yeah. Relationships, friendships, business partnerships, whatever, right? But it's amazing how you view it in hindsight and go, oh, wow, that was a no-brainer.
I appreciate you for coming on, man. Thanks, and making time for me.
Yeah. I'm tickled to be here. Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. Yeah.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you love our podcast, click the download button, rate us, and follow us on social media at HGA Fundraising. Get out there, start fundraising, and raise more money. See you next time.